News Radio 97.7 and 1290 AM, WTKS.
So it could be big news for the extreme court, with they expecting to announce rulings on abortion and immigration, among other things. Byron Henry is a Fox News contributor and legal analyst. Byron, a good morning to you. What's the latest from the court guys and gals?
Well, good morning to you. Well, we've got a couple opinion days left this Thursday and next Monday, the 27th, and there are 8 cases remaining, including a few blockbusters. The corruption case of former Governor McDonnell out of Virginia, as well as a trio of Texas cases involving abortion, immigration, and affirmative action, which is a cocktail for a presidential election year, it sounds like to me.
Well, this has certainly been uncharted waters for the presidential year, Byron. Fox News contributor and legal analyst Byron Henry here on big news for the Supreme Court. Any indication, Byron, from what you can tell, especially since we have a balanced court right now, as far as 4 and 4 going, or 8 people and not an odd number. But how do you think it's going to go? Well,
this is reading the tea leaves, of course, and looking at the records and listening to other commentators and listening to oral arguments. But it seems like on the affirmative action case, there's another interesting twist. Not only is it one justice down because of Justice Scalia's untimely death, but also Justice Kagan is recused because this case goes all the way back to her time at the Solicitor General's office. So what we have there is 7 justices instead of 9, and it seems like the court had a problem with this continual use of race in public university admissions. The University of Texas was using and so they took it for a second time, and so you think they were going to write some sweeping opinion saying, okay, enough is enough, quit using race in your admissions. But with only 7 justices, I suspect the court's going to be a little less ambitious and probably resolve the case on much narrower ground. So while I don't think the University of Texas will like the results and that affirmative action programs will probably be scaled back, I do believe that some race in admissions and affirmative action is going to survive this case, especially because the case is a couple justices short.
Well, Byron, unlike this president and this administration and some on the left, I like to live in the real world. And I remember a time when you got into college on your qualifications on test scores and grades and things like that, and not what color you were.
Well, and the Supreme Court and other federal courts have been slowly chipping away at the predominant use of race in public admissions. But fortunately or unfortunately, how you look at it, the court has taken small steps with respect to this issue, and therefore I suspect this case, especially with 7 justices, will be just another small step towards the elimination of race in college admissions, and which eventually I believe the court will probably get rid of, but probably not in this case.
I gotcha. So we're talking with Byron Henry, Fox News contributor and legal analyst. How do you think it's going to go with 8 rulings on the other cases?
Well, I believe that Texas is probably in a little bit of trouble. There's a lot of speculation that Justice Kagan is probably writing the abortion decision, and it looks like Texas is going to be basically screwed by the size of the state in this case, because the state is so big that only a half dozen abortion clinics can't serve the state, and these regulations have served to restrict abortion to a level where women would have to drive a couple hundred miles to obtain abortions in some cases. And I think the Supreme Court is going to say that's just a little bit too far and get rid of some of Texas's abortion restrictions that were passed a couple years ago in a special legislative session. On immigration, on the other hand, I think Chief Justice Roberts is most likely writing that opinion, and that's the biggest constitutional separation of powers case we have on a hot-button political issue, and I believe that the Supreme Court is going to say that President Obama does not have the authority to change the status of all of these unlawful immigrants in the country from unlawful to lawful, such that they get work permits and driver's licenses and other government benefits. I think they're going to say that the president overstepped his bounds in that respect.
There's a list of those. All right, Byron, always a pleasure. Where can we find more information?
Thank you. I am at Byron.Henry at solidcounsel.com.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Byron.Henry at solidcounsel.com. That's Byron, Standard Henry, Henry.